Yo YouTube, this is my video for Wednesday the 16th of April. This probably is going to be my last video for a while, and I'll let you know about that in a moment. But first of all, I'm on a job right now. The time now is nearly 7:45, and I'm going to Peterborough to pick up a long wheelbase van load. Going from a builder's merchants to a place in Hinckley, Leicestershire. The job is 66 loaded miles. I'm about 18 miles from the pickup, and I went cheap on this yesterday when I was bidding on this. I went £60, 60, which is effectively my long wheelbase van minimum price. And my rationale was that today was not really about the money. Similarly to Monday, today was about getting myself to Manchester to deliver some Easter eggs to my daughter and her boyfriend. And my vague plan is get myself a job to Greater Manchester as soon as I can, then do local jobs around the area until 5 o'clock, in which case, at which time I'll end my working day. And whether I make a lot or a little money is kind of irrelevant today. But so far, I've got an early start and I'm making £60. So it's not too bad so far, and hopefully Hinckley will be not a bad place to get a job from, going somewhere vaguely towards the northwest. So today is the last working day for me before Easter. Good Friday is this Friday, 2 days time. Then we've got Easter Sunday. And then on the Monday, after Easter Monday, which is a bank holiday again, so there'll be no work available, I've got dialysis in the afternoon, because on Tuesday I've got an operation. And I'm not really looking forward to it. I'm quite nervous about having an operation for a variety of reasons, but it's a necessary thing that I need to do to progress. And the other thing to be aware of is, by the time you see this video, I will have had the operation. And what I'm going to be having done is, I'm having a catheter tube pinned or put into my abdomen, so that I can do a different kind of dialysis called peritoneal dialysis, and all the nurses refer to that as PD, which is what I'll do from now on. At the moment I do dialysis where I get needles put into my fistula, and that's called hemodialysis, HD. The problem with HD is I have to do it in a hospital environment. It has to be for 4 hours minimum. By the time I got hooked up and unhooked, it's more like 5 hours. And it has to be done at a set time because of the slots are available for people to be in the hospital. So I end up not being able to work at all on the Monday, Wednesday or Friday. And even when I finish hemodialysis, I'm just too tired to be doing anything afterwards. I couldn't do evening work afterwards, which I thought might be an option originally. So what I'm going to do now is do peritoneal dialysis, where I can do this from home, and I can do it at night, I think when I'm asleep, so I'm pretty sure I don't need to be awake for it. And the principle is very different to hemodialysis. I'm not completely convinced it's going to be as effective, but that's everyone's given me this as another option, and it is the only other option that I have other than a transplant. And this is where I need to, using the catheter tube that's going to be in my abdomen, connect up to a bag of sort of saline type solution, which is connected to a machine that pumps it into my body, lets it sort of sit there around my kidneys and other organs, and then it gets drained off automatically by the machine, and that will absorb, because of the concentration of the solution, it will absorb the waste products that need to be absorbed from my kidney, that will get it needs to be absorbed from my body, that my kidneys would usually do. And that solution is then drained off, and then I basically had my dialysis while asleep. And I don't quite know how long I need to do it for or how often. I think it's a bit more flexible to some extent than hemodialysis. Certainly more flexible in terms of when I do it. I could choose to do it in the middle of the day on a Tuesday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Could do exactly the same routine, but that would be pointless. I can just do it at night. Therefore, I can work during the day. And so I'm really hopeful that I will then be able to go back to work 5 days a week. I don't know at this point if that's going to be feasible. I don't know how I'm going to feel. I don't know how it's going to heal. I don't know how long I'm going to be off work for. But I just know this is the next step I have to try to sort of progress in terms of my financial situation. So that's what's happening on Tuesday. I'm having the operation to fit the catheter, and that's going to require me being in hospital for one night. I'm having general anaesthetic, so hopefully I won't be aware of anything. And I'm aware that I can't drive for at least a week afterwards, possibly a bit longer. I need to carry on doing my hemodialysis for about 4 to 6 weeks afterwards. So there's a period where the tube has to sort of settle in place and make sure there's no infection. That's about 4 weeks. And there's a couple of weeks where I need to do a transitional period of doing a bit of hemodialysis, a bit of peritoneal dialysis. And then after about 6 weeks or so, I'll be fully off the HD and then be able to be at home with the PD. There is going to be some training involved, obviously. So I think that's about week 4. And the only other thing of note to say is the delivery that I did about 3 or 4 months ago, where I really struggled to climb up the person's stairs carrying the boxes, which was the time I thought, I just can't now do physical stuff with this job. It really was a problem. Those boxes were PD solution. So that guy, who doesn't live that far from me, is pretty much the only other guy in this sort of area who has this dialysis. And he's about 15-20 minutes from where I live. So I think there are other people in the sort of county, but in the area that I live in, there's only the 2 of us, as far as I'm aware. Maybe there might be 3 of us in total, but that was the one that I remember because I had that experience. So it's kind of, for me, it's kind of prosaic that I've had that experience with the boxes, and now I'm going to be doing the same thing myself. And I'm going to be having to get the delivery person to put the boxes up my stairs, because there's no way that I can do it. So I'm hoping that I will feel very empathetic towards them, whoever does that, because I'll also know that this won't be necessarily a company person. This could be a CX person who's doing this job. So it's all a bit self-referential for me, this whole thing. Anyway, that's what's happening. By the time you hear this, it would have happened, and I'll be in recovery at home. I think I've got enough money saved up to get through. I've certainly got enough money earned that I'm going to get paid in April, that I'm not going to feel any effects financially. And I think also I'm not that far off May, end of May. The payments for the May covering all my... Well, actually, no, to be fair, bearing in mind I'm not going to be doing any mileage, so no fuel, I have got enough money in my bank account to get me through to the end of May quite comfortably. And then I have got a little bit of money that I've saved up sort of towards just general savings that I can probably cover another month. So I'm hoping that I've got enough resources in place financially to get me through the whole recovery training period, back to work and getting the invoices back again. And bearing in mind I was surviving financially on 3 days, although it wasn't necessarily very easy, and particularly in January, February, March it was very tough. The last couple of weeks have been a lot easier. Last couple of weeks I've been earning an average of £200 after fuel per day, which if you take off the £105 I need to pay for my business costs, so at £95 a day for so that for myself. Obviously it's before tax, but that's not. I think it's enough I can live on over the course of a month. I can live off that amount. So basically £100 a day for 3 days' work. So £300 a week. Let's say £900 and nearly £1,000 a month income. I can kind of live off that, just about. Not comfortably, but no, okay. I can live off it comfortably, but not extravagantly. And so if I can then earn a bit more, that allows me to put some more flexibility, some more headroom, financial headroom, and I can have time off without worrying about it, or save it for my tax bill or my next van. So it's the way forward for me, and I'll let you know, as always, how it all goes. Cheers. Hello YouTube. The time now is 10:05. I was off site at my first delivery in Hinckley at 9:50, 15 minutes ago, and as soon as I finished that delivery I had a quick look through CX and put a few bids on anything close to me going anywhere near Manchester. One was going to Wakefield, which isn't near Manchester, one was going to Birmingham, and one was going to Ashton-under-Lyme. I think there was another one going somewhere like it wasn't going quite all the way, somewhere like Stoke, something like that. And of the four I got a call. I put reasonably low bids on just to try and get a quick turnaround, and I got a call for the best one, which is going from LE4, which is half an hour, 20 miles from where I am, going to Ashton-under-Lyme, which is OL postcode, Oldham postcode, and I've got £80 for that. It's 103 miles loaded, and it is a, I don't know what kind of size van it is actually. I'm gonna guess small van. I'll confirm it next time I'm sending a message. I can't remember what it is. I'm pretty certain, because of the shipper, it's a small van. But I'm not going straight ahead because it's very congested. So this is really good for me. I'm keeping going. It's £80, so that plus the 60 is 140. So it just might work as a strategy, just doing these quick, short. Not quick shorts, so these quick lower price jobs where I'm close to, but they only work if the jobs are available. I always say this strategy won't work if there's no work on CX. So at the moment it's reasonably busy. I was in a reasonably busy area, so I got a choice of some jobs. So I don't know, I don't think it's a long-term strategy, but it might just work for today. Bearing in mind it's the week before a break, Easter break, so it'll probably be a bit busy this week than it would be usually. Anyway, I'm going to keep doing this all day and then see how the day ends up. Hello Hi there, so just a quick update. The job I'm doing from Leicester to Ashton-under-Lyne is just a single box. It is a small van job. I picked it up now, and I've also fueled up. So I've now got a new average fuel price for this week, which is 14.88 pence per mile. I'm on my way to Ashton-under-Lyne now, and it's going to be about 2.25 hours. So it's going to be about 1:30 before I get offloaded, and then I'm going to try and do a couple of little jobs around the area before I call it a day. But so far I'm pleased with today, and it's not the best weather in the world, but it's not too bad. It's not as windy as I thought it was going to be today. Right, I'll let you know how it goes. Cheers! Hey YouTube, the time now is 2 o'clock, and I dropped off my load at Ashton-under-Lyne about 15 minutes ago, and I came to the nearest Asda, and I was going to try and use the toilet, but they didn't have one, so I just bought a sandwich, sat in my van, and then looked for jobs. And there was quite a few jobs I could bid on. I'm trying to stay local, and in the end I got a job going from Stockport, which is 35 minutes away, 12 miles, and I'm taking a short wheelbase van load job to High Peak, which is about 7 miles east of where I'm picking up. So still staying local. £40 I got for that. That adds all adds to the pot for today, and I'm not going to be too far away from the next job when I do that. So hopefully I'll get a fourth job in, and I'm currently will be on 180 for with the three jobs, 180 gross. So I could do with one of the job at least to sort of make today not a bad day. I'll let you know. Cheers. Hello YouTube. So I'm a little bit of stress building in my body at the moment, but I'm on the right side of being able to do this job as opposed to the wrong side of do this job, and I'll explain what I mean by all that. So I finished my third job at around about 3:45, and that was 45 minutes ago now. And then I came away and parked up, and I wanted to find a job getting me back towards central Manchester. And there was a job that came up that was going from from Stockport, which is Manchester, I suppose. From Stockport, which is close to where I was, go to Peterborough for delivery in the morning. I put a bid on that, which I thought was a fair bid. That was £110, I think, or something like 120 odd miles for a short wheelbase van job. And then that job got advertised with two different shippers in addition to that, and the other two both put in pays £90. So I thought, I'm not going to go that low. I'm not even going to go lower than 110. 110 is what I believe is the right price, and it's not ideal for me to deliver in Peterborough in the morning. I've got things to do in the morning, and I can do it, but it's a bit of a rush. So it wasn't an ideal job, but it was an option. And then a job came up from Bury to Louth in Lincolnshire, which I've done before, and I know people who offer the job sort of now know who I am, and I know roughly the names of people in the office. And so I did put a bid on that job. That job was for a small van, and it was going 122 miles loaded from Bury to Louth, and I put on a bid initially of £120, 120. But my concern was I had to get myself at some point to Manchester. It's an M6 postcode, and I had to get that either on the way to Bury or on the way back from Bury to Louth, because that was where I needed to drop off my Easter eggs to my daughter. And so I worked out that if I got off so I started driving towards Manchester, just so that I was closer to some. I took a map of where I was. I was quite far away from anything. I was not really anywhere near any work where I was in High Peak. So I thought I'd go towards the metropolis, headed towards Manchester first of all, and then I got a call about the job going from Bury to Louth. So immediately I thought, no, what I need to do now is go to Bury first, but I have to get permission to pop into Manchester on the way back before I go to Louth. And the pickup point in Bury is between 4:30 and 5:30, and I was at that point about an hour, just under an hour away from Bury, and I would have got there about 10 past 5. So I said that, and the other thing to say is I need to get to Louth before or by 9 o'clock. So I said to the shipper, I'm happy to do the job, but on the condition that I'm allowed to drop off my personal item in Manchester to my daughter. And he seemed okay with that. And I said that obviously I wouldn't stay long and I'd go straight to Louth. He then said he'd like to get the job for cheaper, and in the end we agreed, and I agreed with this quite openly because it's a good job for me. I said, because we know each other, because you let me stop and do my personal trip on the way back, I will do £100 on this job. So I'm doing it for £100, which I'm happy with, they're happy with, and the only concern that I have at this moment in time is, can I actually fit in Bury to Manchester to Louth before 9 o'clock? I'm going to arrive at Bury at just before 10 past 5, so that gives me effectively about 4 hours. The journey on Google Maps is 3 hours and 3/4, so I am the right side of close, but it is very close. So that's where my anxiety is coming from. I need to really rush to get to Bury, get loaded, and rush to get to Manchester, offload my Easter eggs. And I'm not really going to have time to sort of do very much conversation when I get there. It's going to have to be just a stop, drop, and go. And then hopefully I'll get to Louth by 9 o'clock. So at the moment I've got about 15 minutes margin of error, which doesn't feel like enough, to be fair, but I've come all this way to deliver these Easter eggs. I'm not going to be here any more at any point before Easter. This is the only chance I can do it, and so that is definitely going to happen. I just have to accept, the anxiety of me and the stress of me rushing to get to Louth. Honestly, I don't think they're going to close at 9 and not accept the item if I'm a few minutes late. I don't think it's like that, but I do think I need to be as close to 9 as possible. Really, that's not really in doubt. So so basically how I feel right now, I feel a mixture of emotions. I feel pleased that I've managed to have a day where I've actually earned quite a lot of money. It's going to be a long day because Louth is a good an hour and a half from my home. So I'm going to be at home about 11, 11:30. But that's fine. I'm going to have £280, 280 gross. So I'm going to make well over £200 net after fuel. So that's all good. My 2 trips this week, one to Worcester, one to Manchester, in an attempt to get paid to deliver Easter eggs. If I combine the 2 days and average them out, I will have made a decent amount of money as an average over those 2 days, and achieved my goal of delivering my items. So the only thing I haven't really achieved is be able to stay very long in Manchester when I drop these eggs off with my daughter, and slight amount of extra stress and tension on the trip to Louth. But the stress and tension is this bit, going to Bury and then Bury to Manchester, and then maybe getting out of Manchester towards the road to Bury, road to Louth. And then once I'm off on that road and I know I'm on time, that stress will go. So anyway, that's how I feel. I feel it's very much a mixed feelings, but it could easily turn out to be really good, or it could turn out to be really stressful. I'm going to go in this right-hand lane. So yeah, so that's my day so far. So what I'll do is I'll get these things done, and then I'll do a final video with my stats for the day. Hello YouTube. So the time now is 6:20. I've managed to achieve most of my aims, but I will tell you a bit about what happened after I last did your message. I'm a lot calmer now than I was up until this point. So the first mistake, let's share my mistake first of all. The first mistake that I did was when I was on my way to my pickup in Bury, I had neglected to check the postcode, and I ended up going to a housing estate that I knew was not the correct place, because I had been to this pickup before, and I looked at my postcode and I realised what I'd done is, when I first bid on the job to Bury, and I was sort of working out, can I get to Bury via Manchester or the way around, I'd put in BL9 as the postcode, and I had neglected to change that to the correct postcode, and so I was 15 minutes later than I thought I was going to be. I still arrived on time. I arrived at 20 past 5 rather than 5 past 5. But that, when I realised I was in the wrong place and I had to put the right postcode in, I was just desperately hoping it was 2 or 3 minutes away, not 15, 20 minutes away. Also, getting from where I was to the correct location involved going through a lot of heavy traffic that was congested. So that trip was quite stressful. Also, prior to me arriving at the wrong road, the shipper had called me to just check what time I was going to arrive. So I had told them it's going to be 5 past 5, and when it wasn't 15:15, I thought any moment now they're going to call me and work out why am I not on the right place. Anyway, that didn't happen. I arrived and picked up the single item. The shipper wanted me to give them the name of the person giving me the item, and also give me a breakdown of what I've picked up, which I did by text. And they also said that they would, because I'm out of hours, they would get someone to ring me about 9:15 just to double check everything was okay and that I delivered all right. And if I didn't answer the phone at that point, then that company would then call the on-call person with the shipper. So obviously it's better if I answer the phone and let them know that everything's okay, rather than disturbing the shipper, but there's no need to. So I quite like that approach. It is quite a sensible approach when it comes to people working out of hours, in terms of their safety, but it's also about checking the progress of their delivery as well, so make sure that doesn't get messed up. One is checking if it does sooner rather than waiting until things are too late. So I did tell them that my ETA is going to be 9 o'clock to get to Louth, and I did confirm with the lady that rang me that I was going to drop off an item with my daughter first. So picked it up, then it was half an hour to get to Manchester, to the bit I was going to, and I got there and it was quite busy traffic, and it's quite stressful trying to get there. I was trying to think, when I get to Manchester, will I have enough time, bearing in mind the 15 minutes that I wasted going to the wrong postcode, will I have enough time to deliver my Easter eggs and get to the drop-off place in Louth by 9 o'clock? And when I arrived in the car park, I had a look, it was 2.5 hours to Louth, and I arrived at 6 o'clock. So I had half an hour spare, roughly. I didn't want to use up the whole half an hour, so I thought I'd give myself at most 15 minutes here. That involved getting from my van up the stairs, using the toilet, getting back to my van, back out. So I didn't really have much more than 5 or 10 minutes to chat with my buds. Anyway, so, but the thing is, I got delivered and we had a little quick chat and then I was off. And it was really nice to see them both again and touch base with them. And I managed to achieve the aim of today, which was to deliver those Easter eggs to Manchester and get paid for it. And actually I've been paid quite well today. So I'm now on my way to Louth. I got in the van at just before I started the video, so 6:20. And I'm due to be arriving at my drop-off point at 10 to 9. So I've got a 10-minute leeway, although saying that, when I spoke to the lady, I got the impression that 9 o'clock wasn't an absolute deadline, because they weren't going to ring me until 9:15 to see how far I was away from the delivery. And when I said I was going to drop off some stuff with the daughter, she suggested they ring at 9:30 instead. But I said, no, it's okay, 9 o'clock will be fine. Sorry, the original time will be fine. It should be delivered by 9 o'clock. That's my aim. And so I'm now back in the van. There's no major traffic issues on my way to Louth. It's 2.5 hours drive, and then I've got about an hour and 20 minutes drive home after that. So it's all good now. It's all good now. My stress levels have gone way down, and I'm managing to enjoy a job well done, I think. A day has been quite productive, and I've achieved what I want to achieve. So I'll leave that for now, then I'll do some stats. When I get to Louth, before I go home, I'll do some stats and do a final video of what I've earned today. But I'll also do an average over the 2 days this week. Okay, so I've got a new set of stats for today. My pence per mile figure based on filling up fuel today, it's 14.88 pence per mile. And my total mileage for today, by the time I get home, will be 454 miles. I will have done quite a long day, 15 hours, 15. And I've earned a gross amount with 4 CX jobs of £280, 280. My fuel today is a bit higher than I thought it was going to be. It's come to £67.56. I spent that £68 rounding up, and that means that my net earnings after taking into account fuel today are £212, 212, which I'm pleased about because I managed to do my personal task and earn some money. If I take the combined average of the 2 days, Monday and today, I've earned on average net of fuel £138 for the 2 days that I've worked this week, and they were both days that I was prioritising delivering Easter eggs to family members rather than earning money. So I'm pleased that this week has proved to be as good as it has been, considering I had other priorities. Okay, so thank you very much for listening to my video. I hope that you all have a great Easter break, and I hope that you are all being successful, however you choose to define that word for yourselves. I don't actually know when I'm going back to work. It could be a week after Easter, it could be 2 weeks, hopefully it'll be longer than that. But when I know more, I'll let you know. So, farewell friends.